Hello, Loveland. I'm Mike Meldon, and this is your Loveland Weekly Podcast, brought to you by Gina Dubell-Smith, eXp Realty, and Stone Pillar Farm. Well, it's been a minute since our last podcast, and I hope that many of you had a chance to go and visit the Loveland Short Film Festival that we had for the first time ever this past weekend, that I hear was an amazing success. And if you didn't get a chance to go, make sure you mark your calendars for next year, because it's events like these that make this a truly great place to live. So I've been in and out of town this summer as a teacher. I kind of got to take advantage of this time off, and it's just been busy, like for most of you, keeping the kids busy, daily life routines, and then I was lucky enough to go on a trip down to Naples for a little bit, and then I went out west to visit some family and some friends. But we're back now and ready to roll. And in the time being, hopefully you've been listening to our other podcast on this channel, the Loveland All Sports Pod with Josh DeWitt. It's been a phenomenal success. He's been doing some great interviews, so make sure you're listening to those. But I digress. We are back here with Loveland Weekly Podcast, and we have a very special episode to come back to. I had the pleasure and the privilege to sit down with Congressman Greg Landsman this past week. We met at the Eagles Lodge, which as an Eagle we refer to our lodge as an Airy. We are the local Eagles Airy 3006. Mr. Landsman and I got to sit down. We got to talk about his path to politics, his life in politics, and his achievements while serving as a representative to many of us here in Loveland. We also discussed what he would like to see Congress accomplish moving forward. So, I hope you sit back. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with our congressman. And as you listen, remember, election season's coming up. I believe that Mr. Landsman has the positivity and the outlook that this country needs and deserves. And I think if you listen to this man, you'll probably feel the same way. Very genuine and really cares about our country.
I was born in Cincinnati at Christ Hospital. My parents lived in Anderson at the time, and then they got a divorce when I was 2, and my mom moved to Oxford, Butler County, and so I really grew up in Oxford. My dad stayed in Cincinnati, and I came, back and forth, or went back and forth for most of my childhood, so spent a lot of time in Cincinnati, but really grew up in Oxford, Butler County. And I went to Ohio University, studied political science, economics, started to get into politics then, and really, thought about, public service may be my thing. Ultimately, took some time, traveled, went overseas, lived in Guatemala, learned Spanish, was a Spanish teacher, came back and was a Spanish teacher. I made a list when I was like 22, 23, 24. I'm now 47, so it's, I can't remember how many decades ago, but in any event, I made this list, the top 10 things I wanted to make sure I did, and one of them was I wanted to teach. My parents were teachers. I wanted to be a teacher, so I came back from Guatemala where I had learned Spanish and was in a position to teach in this school in Gloucester County, Virginia, Southern Virginia. They needed a Spanish teacher, so I did that. And then September 11th happened. I really wanted to be part of a generation of leaders, the next generation of leaders that understood the role that religion plays in our lives here and around the world. And so I immediately applied for to be part of the divinity school at Harvard, and they have this unique divinity school where you can study religion in the context of what you're interested in. I wanted to do public service, so I was able to study at the Divinity School and take classes at the Kennedy School of Government, where I was taking classes on the religion and conflict, which obviously has its relevancy today, but also classes on social justice in the Bible and how faith-based organizations build community, and a whole host of other really interesting classes that have prepared me, for this life in public service. And so I got a master's in theological studies, and then came back to Cincinnati and have been doing all kinds of work, community-based work, whether it was as an elected official or not. I ran a ballot measure before I got into elected politics that passed providing 2 years of quality preschool for 3 and 4 year olds. This was a time when my kids were in preschool, and I really wanted Cincinnati to be the first city in the country to provide 2 years of quality preschool for every kid. Yeah. And we got it done, and then I thought, I'm going to keep doing this kind of stuff, and was at City Hall for 5 years, and invested. Made sure we invested in the basics: police, fire, sanitation, but also then what we could do to make Cincinnati a better place for children and families. So prenatal care, child care, youth jobs, housing stability, all these things that I think have made Cincinnati a better place to raise a family. And I did that by leading our budget every year. So now I'm a member of Congress. I serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee and the Small Business Committee because we have a ton of veterans and we have a ton of small businesses, and there are two committees that still do a lot of bipartisan work, and I'm a very pragmatic, normal, bipartisan guy, so I want to go where the work is and where others are going to want to do the work, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. We sort of find each other. Because there are some people in politics who just want to be on TV and they do nonsense on Twitter.
Not do the work.
Yeah, but ultimately I want to be on appropriations, which is us, Congress putting the budget together, because that's where you can make sure we're spending money wisely and that we're investing in things that are going to help children and families. I should say that my wife and I live in Mount Washington, east side of town near Anderson, where I was born, and we have 2 kids. My daughter Maddie is 14 and is going to be a freshman at Walnut Hills High School, and my son is 12, about to be 13, who's going to be a 7th grader at Walnut Hills.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What is your proudest achievement in Congress?
Yeah, in Congress so far, we passed a bill out of committee and hopefully get to the floor very soon, because it will make a huge difference for seniors. But it's a bill requiring these PBMs, which buy and sell prescription drugs on behalf of Medicare, to disclose all of their transactions so that all of the savings gets passed on to seniors as opposed to shareholders. Nice. And that passed out of Energy and Commerce 44-0. So all the Democrats voted for it, all the Republicans voted for it. It's a great bill, and it will save taxpayers and seniors millions and millions of dollars.
You don't see that bipartisan support much lately.
I mean, I'm finding that you can get it done. It's just, really? It's not the stuff that makes the news, right. But it does make a difference in people's lives.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm determined to pass serious legislation, even though I've only been there for 18, 19 months. Mm-hmm.
And that just leads to, what are your objectives for when you do get reelected?
Well, you gotta win the race first. So we're
thinking positive.
I know. But I want to be a member of Congress that's for Southwest Ohio, meaning that people are like, oh, that's my member. Mm-hmm. I can get a hold of my member. I have his cell phone, or I have his email, or his staff is wonderful, and that they are so good at constituent services, whether it's passports or VA help that we need, Social Security, Medicare. Anytime we have an issue, they are amazing. The staff's amazing. He's ours. The staff, the office is ours, and so if we have a project. That as a community we're trying to get done, whether it's a piece of infrastructure, like we funded a big water main project in Franklin, in Warren County, but there's just all these communities have these amazing projects, and we got them in the budget. So we got 15 projects in the budget last year. We got 15 projects in the budget this year. I mean, that's tens of millions of dollars that we're bringing back. So all of those things come first. What you do for Southwest Ohio and for Cincinnati, the suburbs, Warren County, all that is priority number one. I do want to be part of strengthening our democracy and doing it in a bipartisan way, hopefully. I'm a big believer that we've got to restore reproductive freedom in this country. And then I am committed, determined to fix this economy. There's so many pieces of this economy that are great, and in some ways we have the best economy in the world. However, there are people who have made billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they do great. And the tax code is set up for them. But it really should be set up for you and me and everybody. It should be set up for workers and teachers and police officers and firefighters and nurses. And it's not. And so you can rewrite the tax code so that, workers, working families, they get all of the relief, and billionaires and these big corporations, they pay all their taxes just like we do. And that allows us to help, tens of millions of families pay all their bills, but it also allows us to balance the budget.
Housing is a major problem.
Yeah.
And, we see these corporations that are coming in.
Terrible.
They want to create a renting society, take away generational wealth that some families, that's all they can count on. Is there something that you got a plan to stop this from neighborhoods being run or controlled by these corporations?
Yeah, Sherrod Brown has a bill that I support and would lead on a similar bill in the House. So we got to get commitments from leadership that they'll bring it to the floor, and enough bipartisan support, and we're working on it. But putting parameters around not just what big companies can do to communities, but private equity. We're seeing private equity come in and buy properties, right. and it's just, they turn around and either sell it at some ridiculous price that no one can really afford, or they sit on it. But either way, it's not helping us get more affordable housing. I think the country needs an emergency housing investment and set of reforms. It is an emergency situation now. It's a crisis for most people, young people with families, older folks. I mean, it's just, we need laws that allow for us to build housing all over the place so that we can, and new rules that make it easier to build housing, less expensive.
Right.
I mean, we need cash for these projects so that they can reduce the cost ultimately, whether it's renting and they bring the per unit rent price down, or it's bringing a house on, or a bunch of houses on the market, that you're helping people with some cash to afford that down payment or rent.
The country, as you mentioned, about just saving the democracy. Yeah. Tell me something. It's easy. A lot of negative wherever you go. Tell me something positive about the direction our country is heading.
Oh my God, there's a million things. I mean, This is the thing that bothers me about some politicians right now, is that they're painting a really dark picture of America, and America is the greatest country ever, and we have our shortcomings, as every country does, but I mean, we can. I do believe that Americans can do anything, and there are so many aspects of what's happening in the country right now that's very positive. I mean, this economy has created 10, 15 million new jobs. Unemployment is really, is down. People are working, and they're working hard. The challenge is that we got to get wages up faster, although wages are going up. The private sector is not keeping up with private sector jobs, and so we need to make sure that we're investing in public sector jobs, and that's teachers and police officers and firefighters and the military. They need to be able to pay their folks the same higher wages that we're seeing in the private sector. That's a big deal. Then we have to ensure that these companies that have consolidated and have enormous power in these markets are either broken up or dealt with as we've done before, so that consumers set prices, not corporations, and that will lead to lower prices. So those are, those are the things that we've got to do. But do we have the best technology and the best innovation and the best workers and the most hardworking, committed talent in the world? 100%.
Now let's speak to the people. Let's just wrap it up. What do you want the people to know as you're running for your next term?
That most Americans, most voters want a return to normal. That the politics of division and chaos and extremism is frustrating almost everyone, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, in this election, we can start to be done with that, finding people that may not agree with us on everything, but at least they're normal and they're pragmatic and they're bipartisan. And I do think the vast majority of people want to see us strengthen our democracy because they want people in charge of stuff, not a few super wealthy folks who probably don't have our best interest in mind. And that, I'm gonna fight to protect freedoms. That this is a moment where we're gonna have to decide. Are we gonna go all in on the American experience and the part about freedom? Or are we gonna pull back from that? And I'm saying let's be all in, and then building an economy that works for working people, that works for folks here, and billionaires will still be billionaires. They just should pay all their taxes.
Hello, Loveland. It's Emily Barlow, your local publisher of Loveland Lifestyle Magazine. It's a great time of year. So many amazing things are happening in Loveland. It's warm, it's sunny, and there's really no better place to be. And we at Loveland Lifestyle love covering all of the happenings. In addition to any new businesses opening, awesome new ventures that people are focusing on. We love covering everything Loveland, and we love partnering with new businesses. So if you're a new business and you've been thinking about working with Loveland Lifestyle, or maybe you're someone who would love to get a copy, but it's not delivered directly to your door, you can always reach out to us through our website, citylifestyle.com/Loveland. We'd love to hear from you.
Looking ahead in Loveland, the 4th annual Ben Morrison Golf Outing will be held August 24th at Hickory Woods Golf Course. The Memorial Foundation helps to provide 2 scholarships to Loveland High School seniors, one for lacrosse and one for football. The organization is dedicated to funding mental health education and spreading awareness. Also, do you know any aspiring sports media personality? We are looking for a couple of Loveland High School students to help us on game nights with interviews for our Loveland All Sports Pod. Reach out to lovelandweekly@gmail.com if interested. We have something truly special here in Loveland. Thank you for listening. Have a great week. This episode was produced and engineered by Mike Meldon right here in Loveland. And please note that the opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of our sponsors or organization.